What? There's another 15 seconds on the countdown. Oh my god, I suck. Have we started? Oh, awesome. All right, now gather round, boys and girls, as I recount to you the tale of 3 technology bloggers who greatly enjoyed their pastime of there's another playing 15 seconds on the countdown. The video games. In this Technophilia episode 146, let me introduce our characters, starting with the scallywag gaming editor of MakeUseOf.com, Mr. Dave Leclerc, who's recently been showing you his distinct lack of prison management skills. Dave, have all your inmates killed themselves yet?
Is that a real word, or are you just making stuff up?
Which one?
Scallywagger, whatever the hell you said.
Scallywag is indeed a real word, you hooligan. Now,
is that like a British word, or is that like an English word?
I'm pretty sure it's not a well, I mean, all English is English, so yeah.
Is it a made-up English word or a real English word is what I want to know.
It's a real English word.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Right, well, Dave has nothing to say. Let us move on to a certain Robert Wiesenham, and not just any Robert Wiesenham, but this one in particular. Rob, please promise me you're not going to talk about that game that shall not be named again today.
No, I'm more interested in talking about this pizza.
Well, that's infinitely better than that game that shall not be named. And myself, James Bruce, webmaster, web vandal, DIY, smart home, and product reviews section editor. Shit, I have too many jobs. For MakeUseOf.com. And yes, you may send me free shit if you wish. Yeah, I'm quite chuffed, guys. Remember, I couldn't be here last week because I was busy selling my house?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I sold it.
You sold your house really quick. I remember when my parents tried to sell their house, it took them like a month to actually sell it.
No, man, it's crazy.
Is the housing market like really seller favored over there right now?
It is quite ridiculous, especially in this part of town.
So like if you have a house for sale, there's more people who want to buy the house than houses for sale?
Yes, but I didn't want to put anyone into a bidding war because that's kind of a dick move, so
you just let the first person to come in with an offer? Like, did they offer below your asking price, or did they offer just straight up what you were?
No, they offered the exact asking price that we had, which is just awesome, really.
See, over here, like, you never pay asking price for a house. Like, every house, unless it's in, like the middle of, like, downtown Los Angeles or San Francisco or something, it sells for, you're like, well, I would like to sell it for $250, so I'm going to ask for $270, and knowing that they're going to bump me down to $250.
Yeah, that was kind of what we did, but it sold at that price anyway. And I'm thinking we might have underpriced it now. I'm just kind of shocked. It's stupid how much the price went up in 3 years since we bought the places.
Yeah,
absolutely tragic, really. Yeah. So what lies in store for our 3 lovable heroes this week? That's a damn good question, actually, because I haven't read the show notes. Dave,
you're worthless.
Rob, what have you been playing?
I've been playing a little bit of GTA Online because I went out and picked up GTA 5 just like 2-3 days ago. I say what the the new like PS4 release,
the pretty one.
The pretty one.
I mean GTA Online in general is pretty old, is it?
Oh no! There's a GTA Online in GTA 5. It's
right.
I mean, it's been out in the sense of on PS3, Xbox One. Yeah. But now I get to try it.
Now it's prettier also, which is always nice.
Man, you guys, hell is other people. Let me tell you, because and triply so in the world of Grand Theft Auto, because I had a dude spot me running across a runway. I was like, I would like to steal an aircraft, right? Seems like a reasonable thing to do in the world of Grand Theft Auto. And someone attempted to assassinate me by flying low in their own plane and attempting to clip my head off with their wing.
That seems like the kind of thing that I would expect to have happen in GTA Online.
Exactly. It makes me really glad that there's that passive mode button where you can just be like, hey, I would rather just travel around this world and not be screwed with for a little bit.
Please leave me alone. I'm a scaredy baby.
Well, I haven't made any online friendships yet. I haven't joined join it. They're actually called crews, so I'm not breaking the rule of not mentioning that game. But I haven't joined a crew and gotten a little clan tag by my name or anything. So I need to start figuring that stuff out. But right now I'm finding the best way to play without like either having screaming babies picked up on people's gameplay microphones or being called all manner of racial slurs. The best way to avoid that is just to play missions solo, which is a strange way to play an online game, I suppose.
At that point, it's just GTA. It's just regular GTA sandbox, but that happens to require you to be connected to the internet.
But with my custom character, Antonio, who is a scruffy-looking dude in a bandana and wearing a cat t-shirt under a suit.
Well, you're just selling it so hard right now.
I'm living the dream, Dave.
I played a little GTA Online when the last gen version of the games came out, and I had such high hopes and dreams, thinking I was going to be heisting with my friends constantly, and it was going to be. And then I was like, "This is absolute." Well, also I was in there when it didn't work, when you had to sit there for hours on end and hope you could maybe connect at some point in time, only to never connect. So, and then it never worked, and then I gave up, and I haven't gone back to GTA Online since.
I thought they were adding heists.
They finally are, yeah. I guess are those there yet, Rob?
I haven't played a heist, but I'm also only like level 13 or something. So there's a lot of.
You wouldn't be able to.
Well, you get access to certain missions on the basis of your level, but I haven't seen any evidence of the heists being in there.
I know they were. I remember last I heard they were adding them, but I don't know if they were added. But
I mean, wouldn't that basically turn the game into a better version of what is that heist game? I forget. Is it called The Heist?
Payday 2.
Payday, that's it.
Yeah.
Or will it not be as good as that?
I mean, I think they're a little different. Payday 2, the GTA, if they're like the single player, the GTA heists are almost more like the planning phase of the heist is actually more than the heist itself in terms of like the time spent and stuff like that.
Yeah, the heist, like the actual performance of the heist, is all about the payoff. Of all
the heist, the performance of the heist is all about how did you plan it, and then it just kind of plays out how you planned it. In Payday, it is more about the actual execution of the aiming and shooting and doing the heist. I don't think you sit and plan it in Payday that I'm aware of.
I will say the big problem with GTA Online is still that it's really kind of a like quality of life nightmare, because if you don't have a group of people that you're playing with and you're not just staying in a playlist and continuing to vote your way into next mission, the load times are nuts transitioning in and out of playlists and in and out of instance content. Like, it is not a good experience unless you've got like a constant set of people. So I have a feeling the people having the most fun are the people being the most social, which, again, online experience, sure. But it's kind of a downer as I'm acclimating, and so I don't want to be as social because I don't want to be like dead weight on anyone.
And Level Up Josh says January 27th for the heists.
January 27th. Okay,
so very soon. So by the time you are leveled to the point where you should be able to do them, they should be there.
Nice.
So I look forward to hearing about what a heist is like with other people. That should be. I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I will make some friends and find out.
Because that could either be really good or really, really terrible. Like, I could see it'd be very easy to be like, all right, guys, let's plan this. We're going to do this heist. It's going to be amazing. We're going to go here. All right, and then we're going to go here. Then the guy just runs in. Yep, fuck all you. I shot everybody, and now there's 5-star wanted level, and we're all screwed.
We're gonna find a new Leroy Jenkins before this is over yet.
I feel like it won't be hard to find that. So.
And other than that, I'm still playing actually a fair amount of Endless Legend, so that game's still rad. Buy that game.
I was on Steam sale and I looked at it the other day, and I was like, maybe I'll play that game, and then I didn't play it.
Wah wah.
Yeah.
But what did you play, Dave?
So I've been playing a whole mess of Prison Architect. You may have heard of this game. I just went back to look at my past broadcast to put that into the stream, and the entirety of the broadcast is muted. I had music playing during the whole thing, so the whole broadcast is muted.
The one I watched was fine.
The VOD, or you watched the VOD? Or you watched live?
No, the other night when I tuned in and started chatting.
Yeah, that's live. It's fine live, but in the
rebroadcast.
in the rebroadcast, it has all been muted due to violations.
So I have to say, your musical preferences are quite astonishingly bad.
If you don't like metal, then yeah, I don't think I have the music that people would be seeking. If you're not,
I don't know if that's appropriate for a prison game either. It just seems like it would encourage your prisoners to just act out, really.
to just lash out and be angry. So yeah, so what is Prison Simulator? Maybe we should start with that.
Prison Architect,
which is a prison building simulator. So Prison Architect is a game in which you start out with an open plot of land, and then the game says, all right, we are going to make you have a prison on this land. So go ahead, you need to slap up buildings for your employees, you need to slap up cells, set patrol routes, and then you build a prison. And it gets kind of intense after a while when you start letting in more prisoners. If you start letting in high-risk prisoners, you get more money from them every day, but you also end up with a situation where they'll be more likely to start riots and smuggle in contraband. So you got to station more guards accordingly and stuff like that. So
isn't that a good thing, though? That would calm them down.
I mean,
it depends what drugs you're smuggling in, I guess.
Sometimes, you just it makes your prison look bad if you're letting prisoners get drugs into the prison. They're not supposed to have those sorts of things. It's a prison. It's not a fucking vacation home. So here you see me drawing out a giant building that is going to be my new cell block for those listening. We're drawing out a large building, and we're going to have our people build it and turn it into a new cell block, so that should be fun. So I've been playing a lot of this game. It's quite a bit of fun. It's a good game for streaming on Twitch because it's easy to kind of passively play and sit and talk while you're just watching stuff be built and stuff like that. So
I think James is just confused. James, this is Prison Architect, not White Collar Prison Architect.
Yeah, although I'm sure some of my people are in there for white collar crimes. At one point, I just decided to randomly click on prisoners just to see, who my prisoners were. And one of my prisoners was Conan Coco O'Brien, which made me laugh, obviously, because Conan O'Brien. And he was like, it looked like Conan O'Brien, and he was a tall white man. And while it was, I was like, hey, that's Conan O'Brien. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Do you think he was a backer? He does play video games on his show sometimes.
Oh, that's right. Isn't that how this worked? The prisoners are backers?
You can name one of the prisoners, right?
I mean, it could be that he's a backer, or it could be that they just also picked some assorted celebrities to be in the crew. Yeah, the crew.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
It's almost as though we're saying it as many times as humanly possible.
No.
Yeah, so I really like it. And James, you started playing it a little bit, right?
I literally started playing it an hour ago, so I got through the tutorial, and it's a very bold tutorial. The way it has you build an execution chamber for one of the prisoners. And I kind of expected it to give me like a moral choice, just as I've built the chair. It's like, do you want to turn on the chair or not? But no, it just kills him.
Yeah, and funnily enough, because the game is in early access, you can't actually use the electric chair in the real game. So.
Oh shit.
You can build one, but it doesn't do anything.
Oh, that's a bit annoying. But anyway, it's not like a graphical violence scene. It's just like a brief white flash, and then it's like, this is your job now. This is what you do. But then when you get to the actual game, you can choose to make their life hell. Like, I'll take a look at some of my prisoners and see that some of them are pretty bad. And then it's just like, okay, you're a dick, so I'm going to put you on maximum security, and I'm going to get a guard to take you into the broom closet and rape you, perhaps.
There's no raping happening that you see.
No, there's no raping happening.
No rape, but I did.
You can get it down. You can get their cell search. You can make their life hell. Just
if you look here, let's see I set up my my common room in a rather odd way. I put the showers across one wall and then a row of couches across the other wall. So you got you could kind of hang out and watch the showers as another prisoner if you want to, if you're into that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a cool game though. I'm gonna keep playing it more. I'll keep it on the stream. People seem to actually enjoy watching that one because I guess it lets me just bullshit.
I don't understand how much longevity there is to this game, though. I mean, once you've built a prison, what is there to go from there? Like, what do you do?
You keep making it bigger. It's just like SimCity. It's the same thing. Like, what keeps you going in SimCity? You know, trying to make your city bigger. It's the same thing.
I guess. It feels a bit more shallow than SimCity.
Yeah, it probably is, but it's more... SimCity is like broader. This is more managing on a smaller level, but you could still theoretically play for as long as you want. Eventually, you'll run out of the grants to do, and then there won't be as much to do. Also, don't make the same mistake that I made. I didn't even like read anything about the game before I played. I didn't know about the grants, and I ran out of money in my first prison. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I have no more money. How am I supposed to like expand my prison? And then I realized that there's grants that you can take, which are like.
And the first one's like really basic. It's $30,000 for just doing what you're supposed to do at the start anyway, right?
Yeah, and they're basically.
So
here you see my prisoners tried to build a tunnel, and I caught it because I'm a boss.
Oh my god.
So so don't miss the grants, otherwise you'll run out of money and then have nothing to do. Plus the grants give you things to do, like get your prisoners educated and.
Can you build the sniper towers yet?
I can, but I haven't built any yet.
Oh, I'm just wondering if they're a part of the alpha or not.
There's something that's like a guard tower, I think, at least.
Yeah, but does it work?
I don't know. It's still early access, so keep that in mind. So yeah, Prison Architect's pretty fun. You should check it out. I got it for $6 in the Steam sale over the holidays, so I don't know if it's still that cheap, but that was a hell of a deal.
All right. Well, moving on, since I skipped last week and you guys were doing most anticipated games of 2015, I thought I'd just throw mine in there quickly.
Yeah, why not? You missed out on all the fun, so...
Yeah.
Let's hear James' most anticipated actual video games of 2015. I can't wait.
Most of them are not.
Look, a number of them may perhaps be hardware related.
May perhaps,
right,
he says.
No Man's Sky, but only with the condition that it supports Oculus Rift.
So you're not interested in this game if it doesn't have a shitty way to view it?
Yes, that's the upshot of it.
It
intrigues me, but it would intrigue me even more in VR.
But you won't play it without VR?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. The level of intrigue there is only going to get pushed over the line by VR support.
James, I see what the problem is. You're in the wrong podcast. Helmetphilia is down the street.
Helmetphilia. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love to ski, and my ski goggles do a great job of protecting my eyes, but I just don't want to wear ski goggles while I play video games.
Oh, you're such an idiot. Right, number 2, I'm coming in with a bit of hardware. The consumer Oculus version is one of my most anticipated things of 2015, because they're going to up the resolution, they're gonna increase the, I don't know what they're doing, but it's going to be awesome. Of course it's going to be awesome.
I don't think it's coming out this year, but we'll get to that soon.
Yeah, you're wrong. Number 3, Star Citizen, which is made by the same guy who made Wing Commander Privateer, one of my favorite games all those many years ago when I first started out with a PC. And I'm also assuming Oculus support in there. But I'll get it anyway, even if it doesn't. This
one you'll get whether or not it has Oculus.
I will, but I would like Oculus support. But having said that, I don't actually think Oculus support in space games is necessarily all that good.
I personally don't really like space games very much, so...
The problem with VR and 3D stuff on space games is that everything's so far away that you can't actually get any of an effect from VR. You're basically just staring at a flat screen. It doesn't have much purpose to it. I mean, yeah, you can look around and you can see your cockpit, but in terms of getting a dramatic something in your face feel, it just doesn't happen in a space game or in any kind of aeroplane-y type game, right? So that's another worry that I have for No Man's Sky as well. And the problem is that a lot of the demos that they've been doing with Oculus involve space games and plane games, flying things, and it's just not that cool. So that upsets me. Which brings me on to my next one, which is whatever the first full RPG/adventure game is for VR, which I'm hoping is going to be Witcher 3. I hope that will support VR. But if not, I'm looking forward to whatever the first game like that actually is. And I suspect there might be one launching alongside the consumer release of Oculus.
I feel like if they were going to push out the consumer release of Oculus, wouldn't CES be the time to do it?
They do have the supposedly final prototype there. It's now got headphones built in, for instance.
Still final prototype, though. Still prototype in the name.
Well, it's assumed that this is as damn near close to the final version as you're going to get. Our fellow writer, Andre, is gonna. He has an appointment to go try it out, so we should speak to him. Yeah.
We should have had him on the show, maybe next week.
Yeah. My final one is I'm hoping for a Kickstarter from a company called Tactical Haptics, which is a hardware company, and as you can probably tell from the name, it's got something to do with force feedback. And what they've made is like a VR controller which relies on skin shearing. There's like a thing that pushes against the palm of your hand and your fingers and makes it feel like you're doing stuff. So it emulates the feel of, say, swinging a sword and the kind of weight shifting around your hand. And apparently it feels really goddamn good, like really, really realistic. And I can't wait to have a go at that or to support a Kickstarter for that. Because let's face it, the force feedback that we have so far is kind of disappointing. You know, it's basically just a rumble motor in a console controller, which has always been kind of sad. I've always wanted like a proper gun controller where you can feel the pushback, or something like a sword would be amazing.
I can't wait to ignore this like every other gimmick video game product that comes out.
How is it a gimmick to try and push some more realism into your gaming?
Because it's a gimmick. It's like a stupid little piece of hardware that you add to your thing. It's like a Kinect or something, you know? Like it's just a stupid little gimmick that you add to the game to try to make a quick buck. And then you realize it fails and drop support for it and move on.
It's all about giving you more immersion, about making you feel more like you are a part of the game.
I don't really want to feel like I'm a part of the game. It's a game. Like, I know it's not real. I don't need to feel more a part of it. But that's also probably because of the games that I play, too. Like, there's no possible way to feel immersed in Dota. But
that's true, which is why I'm looking forward to proper adventure games.
The main reason I play games is for competition anyway, so that's also a big part of it.
I mean, if you think about an RPG, it is all about being immersed in that world, in that storyline, and feeling a part of the world. That's what an RPG is. It's a role-play game. The very name gives it away, doesn't it? You are playing this role.
But no amount of little
push you further into that.
No amount of gimmicky hardware is going to like trick me into believing that it's real or something. So what's the point?
I think
by all accounts, the Oculus does trick you into believing it's real.
Okay,
not necessarily real, but
let me try something else here. Like the things I get out of a role-playing game are like the kind of cool character building stat, like, you know, stat and gear kind of stuff, and the story. Like, I'm not playing a role-playing game to feel the feel of having a sword in my hands. I want to be as far away from that as possible. Like, I want that level of separation. But I've predicted before on this show that virtual reality is going to be a thing that has another fall. But eventually, like 10 to 100 years down the road, he said, casting the net wide, you know, this is going to become more normal, and the kids who grow up with this are going to find it totally normal. But I think with my and I mean, James, you're obviously more of a pioneer in this regard, but as far as Dave and I go, it's much more of a thing of like, look, we know what we know, we know what we like. Like, it's gonna have to. I think it's gonna have to hit a lot of people like as their. It's gonna have to be just the first thing that they know to really be something that takes with them, because it's such a different experience from what we're used to in the world all around us with looking at screens and using using interfaces like mice, keyboards, and controllers.
Sure. you're a heavy D&D player, right? Have you? Most D&D players that I know have at some point tried some LARPing. Have you not?
I've never LARPed before, but
Oh, damn it! That ruins my argument because that
yeah.
to me is an argument for VR. I mean, that's all about taking on the more physical aspects of role playing, right? So that's a more direct comparison.
It is, and that's there's certainly a social element to that. I don't know. I suppose if the social execution of it were just right, I might be able to buy into more of the virtual reality stuff. Like, I don't want to sit there and pretend to be a warrior with haptic feedback and a VR helmet, in my own apartment. Like,
see, I do. Whereas I don't want to go out into a field with all the stigma associated with that and hold a plastic sword and I'd literally wave it around.
See,
because I'm going to feel like a twat.
I'm less afraid of that stigma than just losing myself in my VR fantasy.
Like, I don't want to pretend that if I go like this, a fireball comes out. I want to see that freaking fireball coming out of my hands,
Well, I mean, above both of these things, I'd rather just sit around and play tabletop RPGs. So if we're just going with what our favorites are, I know where I want to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's room for that too. But I think the killer app for VR is an RPG. A fully immersive RPG. And it's going to require lots of stupid little accessories, whether those are VR controllers and God knows what else. Maybe one of those silly platforms that you stand on, which let's say they are silly, to try and translate your walking into. Well, that's another thing I'm looking forward to in 2015. Maybe getting a hold of one of those platforms that you can walk on and stuff.
Sabrin in the chat. Hi, Sabrin. Sabrin in the chat says, so I wouldn't want to play an RPG in a holodeck situation. The holodeck, keep in mind that the holodeck technology of Star Trek, that assumes a lot more than just like virtual reality without, helmets and gear. That also assumes a computer that can play back to the degree to which you can't tell the difference. If you've seen it in the episode,
yeah, but come on, you're just talking about a technology level here. I mean, that's the dream of VR, to make a holodeck.
Right. But I couldn't be less interested in this stage that we have right now.
Okay, so if it got to a sufficiently advanced stage that you don't have to wear a helmet,
and the games could play back reactively and challenge you and basically overcome suspend my disbelief.
You just want higher resolution? I'm struggling here. What are you waiting for?
Artificial intelligence that can react to me through gameplay such that I feel like I'm interacting with a real creature and getting competitive response or cooperative response that may be, or a richness of interaction.
I mean, isn't that a problem in existing games though? The AI is just not great.
No, absolutely, but
okay, that's not specifically a problem with VR then, I guess.
Right. But I would say that is a frontier that I'm more interested in. A game that can be infinitely renewing because the AI is so deeply reactive that you can't tell the difference between it and a human competitor.
Mm.
And so in the chat, they want to know, Level Up, Josh wants to know how many of us have used the Oculus. I have, obviously James has. James has owned every prototype. I used it once at CES, and I was like,
meh.
I found it to be the most underwhelming thing I've ever experienced because it was so incredibly hyped up. And I was like, yeah, this looks like kind of like Skyrim, and I'm walking around with the TV on my face. Cool.
And I have not used an Oculus Rift, admittedly, yet.
And you should.
I felt really bad because the Oculus, because this was back when Oculus was still, this was before the Kickstarters shipped and anything like that. So like, they had like, Palmer Luckey like on the floor just at CES and stuff because they were like nobody at that point, and they were so fired up about it, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool, I guess. And I felt bad because I was not fired up at all, but what are you gonna do? I gave him my real reaction. So yeah, it's just not for me, though. I do think it's cool. I've said this before, that I do think it is cool, or could be cool, for horror games. And watching this funny YouTube video of people falling down while trying to use it, because this is fun. I'm thoroughly enjoying this.
If you want to market the entertainment value of watching other people use the Oculus Rift to me, I'm all ears. All right, you got me. Like it's funny stuff.
Look, I have had thousands of not thousands. I have had a lot of people demo my Oculus thing.
Thousands.
Thousands, a lot, and not a single one of them has been like meh. They have all been holy shit, that's amazing.
But are these people like hardcore gamers, or are they just
no?
people?
These are just random normal people.
Because I feel like the hardcore gamers of the world are much more likely to be like meh, because like these people have never. A lot of these people probably never even seen like a pretty looking video game with good graphics. So even that would be like, whoa! Like if you showed them Uncharted, they'd be like, holy shit! You know what I mean? But like,
no, I think hardcore video gamers, whatever, if you want to get into that, they probably have their idea of what gaming is, and this isn't it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's for the Joe Schmo of the world. This is very, very impressive. For the gamers of the world, it's going to be a hit or miss. It's going to be either like you and they're going to fall in love with it, or they're going to be like me and think it's stupid.
Part of the problem for gamers is that it takes a real step back in terms of resolution and things. You're basically going 10 years ago to the level of graphics that we had then in order to maintain any kind of reasonable experience.
See, that didn't bother me at all. I used the DK1, and I wasn't like, oh, these graphics look like ass. It was just kind of like...
Well, that's good.
I was just kind of like, I don't know, I just was like, I don't really get it. It's just a TV in front of my eyes. I'd rather just have a TV across the room.
You seriously cannot do stereo vision. I swear that's what's wrong with you.
No, I mean, I saw it all in 3D and stuff, and I was like, this looks cool, but like, I could just get a 3D TV also, and it would still look cool. Like, I don't know. It just didn't impress me. But I also am not impressed by 3D generally speaking. Like at the movies, I'm not like, oh my god, I got to see this movie in 3D. I got to pay the extra $10 or whatever to see it in 3D. I'd rather see the 2D version. So
I think you should go get yourself tested, Dave, because I seriously think you have some kind of stereo blindness.
I see the 3D when I see it. I just don't think it looks...
I'm sure you see it like a colorblind person sees colors. Sure.
It's just I don't get the appeal of seeing the images jump off the screen. I don't see why that's cool.
I think what this comes down to is that there's, just like the Wii showed when the Wii came out, there was this huge divide between people playing, traditional games with controllers and people who wanted a force feedback virtual reality experience. And there wasn't a ton of overlap on that Venn diagram. There were a lot of people out there who weren't into video games because video games as they stood weren't what they wanted. And then the Wii went off and did its own thing. And sure enough, many games that came out on the other platforms couldn't be experienced on the Wii because of, how few buttons the controller had and how different the interface was. It's a matter of it being a different audience. I don't think trying to force the Oculus into the mainstream video game culture as we understand it, the PS4, Xbox One, PC crowd, is as much of an important thing as it is trying to recapture that Wii crowd and that group of people who want, sensory simulation experiences.
But the Wii was also cheap. That's the biggest difference to me between the two.
That's the problem, right?
The Oculus appeals to people who can willing to spend, $1,500 on their gaming experience. The Wii appealed to people who wanted to spend $200. Yeah. Right? Wouldn't you say is $1,500? Is that a fair estimate for the PC you'd need and the Oculus itself?
At least for the
Assuming
PC.
You don't already have a game. I mean, like for you or I, we already have PCs. We would just have to buy the Rift.
Plus, you'd need another $500 for the Oculus and some kind of controller.
Yeah. So yeah.
And if you're real hardcore, you're going to spend another $1,000 on a 6-foot circular platform.
If you want one of those Omni tracks or whatever they're called, those things.
And ultimately, it may be that these kind of things are not for home use. They're for experience centers or something. I don't know. I
mean, just to put one last bit of perspective as to how little I care about this sort of thing. I have had a device that is a bulletproof vest that provides haptic feedback while playing shooters in my house for going on 2 months now. And it is like the third in line for the product review, and I have not opened it yet because I do not care about using it until I have to actually review it.
Fucking send it to me then, you asshole. Hurry up and review it.
It's in the gaming section. It's my review. Also, fuck sending it to the UK. That would cost too much money. But yeah, it's like, that is strictly like I'm going to review this thing, so I will open it when it's time to review it. I have zero excitement towards using it. Whereas like, I got the Alienware Alpha in the mail, and I opened it the day I got it and took the photos and hooked it up to my TV to start playing PC games on my TV. No, it's just a PC on the TV. It's fine. So It just shows you where my head is at. This type of stuff just does not interest me in the slightest.
I really hope this vest feels like actual bullet wounds and that it has some kind of remote control so we can open it up for our viewers. And
that would be fun, actually, if there was a way to control this remotely and I could wear it and just let people like go crazy on the Twitch stream. That would be fun. I would do that.
Yeah, I'm straight.
The comment about experience centers, how this is all prohibitively expensive and that we would need to have like places where all this equipment was. It just makes me wonder if like the future of the Oculus Rift is like the reemergence of the video arcade in the West.
Yeah.
Like arcades are still a relatively big deal over in Asian countries, but over in the West it's like largely dead. It'd be hilarious if we're like, let's go down to the Oculus arcade.
It's funny, Scudderman just said the same.
That would be awesome.
Scudderman just said that same thing in the chat as you were saying that, and there's no way he heard you yet because of the Twitch delay. So he said the same thing that you said.
Great minds think alike, Scudderman.
Seriously, that is hilarious. So
I think if it leads to a resurgence of arcades, that's a really good thing. I mean,
I'm thinking more like LAN center kind of things, not like arcade with like coin op, but I'm thinking more like there's a row of Oculuses. You pay $10 to use them for an hour.
Emulating things in VR, like Laser Quest, then you don't need a Laser Quest anymore, right? You can make Laser Quest into a VR center too.
But the thing with that is the whole appeal of like a place like that is interacting with your fellow humans. But when you strap
the whole appeal of a place like that is the realism it brings. You've got a laser gun. You can see the laser. You're shooting shit.
No. But like the arcade though, like you go there to interact with your fellow humans, but then when you strap a TV screen to your face, you take that away.
Dave, I move that our passion against the Oculus Rift has allowed James to hijack this episode for Oculus Rift content.
That's fine. We didn't have anything important to talk about this week, so this is actually this is fine with me. I'm good with this.
We can go on with predictions.
So we could skip mine and James's first two, since mine was just that there will be no final Oculus this year, and James is there will be.
And I'm going to counter that by saying bullshit, because they've officially said it's months away, not years.
Right, of course. And they also...
It's going to be a soft launch. It's not going to be a major worldwide...
Right, they also announced that The Witcher 3 was coming out in October of 2014. Let me just go turn on my Xbox and my copy of The Witcher 3 and play that real quick. They announced that Watch Dogs was going to be a PlayStation 4 launch game. Did you go out and pick that up on launch day, James?
They'll do it like a dev kit, but not as a dev kit. It will be the final release, but they'll do like a slow launch, so you can only release it.
Well, like I said, my prediction is that it gets pushed back. So that's my prediction.
It's not going to get pushed back. It's
just because they announced it doesn't mean it's coming. Things get announced and pushed back literally every day.
Can I just say that they haven't delayed the project ever? Like this is
they haven't had a consumer release yet.
On time.
It's a big difference between releasing a pre-release beta version and releasing a final consumer one.
They have fucking Facebook's checkbook.
They still have to have it. They also have John Carmack working on it. He's a fucking nut job. If he finds one little flaw, he'll push it back.
No. You're right.
I'm just going to go ahead with my prediction that James becomes lost in a cyberscape of his own making, and Dave and I have to get Data Jackson planted to rescue it.
That sounds like a fun idea.
We're going to be the pioneer. Dave, the two of us, the two people least interested in virtual reality, are going to become the pioneer cyberscape warriors to rescue James from his virtual nightmare.
That sounds like a fun plan.
If any of you in the chat want to write that fanfic, we'll read parts of it that aren't sexually explicit on this podcast.
Oh no, we'll read those too.
The whole of it will be sexually explicit.
I tried to lay out a caveat, and you just wouldn't let.
Yeah, the whole of it will be sexually explicit. There's no avoiding that. So.
Do you have another prediction, Dave?
So I think that the Steam controller from Valve will basically be forgotten over the course of 2015, and it won't happen.
But don't they need something for the Steam machine?
I think the whole Steam machine thing is going to be kind of pushed along to the side as well. I just don't... Specifically with the controller, the goal that they are trying to accomplish is to figure out a way to kind of replace mouse and keyboard with a controller, and that just is not going to happen. That's a stupid idea.
But don't you think they'll launch with just like some generic console controller type job?
They might, but if they do, then I feel that they've failed, because then all it is just a computer with an inferior OS on it, with nothing to make it... Like, if they legitimately could figure out a way to say, Dave, here's what I got for you, bro. You hook this fucking thing up to your TV, and you can play Dota while sitting back on your couch. Now that's something I'm interested in.
You just get a wireless mouse, you moron.
Yeah, but it's hard to play. Like, where do you put the mouse on the table and stuff? It's hard to play while I kick back on my couch.
Right, they have like a pillow underneath with beans on them. You put that on your lap.
I've tried that type of stuff. That is not a good way to play a game like Dota. So
Seriously,
if they could if they come out and say, well, we released this PC that you hook up to your TV, but it doesn't have Windows on it. Instead, it has Linux, so you can only play 50% or 20% of the games. That's not a fucking selling point. I don't want that. So I feel like the Steam Machine was kind of like a cool idea that's going to kind of just...
On the other hand, you're going to end up with an upgradable computer, which basically replaces consoles with the same content as consoles, but it'll be upgradable, right?
Yeah, but why do I need the Steam OS? That's the question. Like, the Alienware Alpha is basically a Steam machine, but it's got Windows on it. That's fine.
And for me, it's not even about like having the same, content as consoles. I would love to have a Steam controller working that I could like play Civ 5 with a controller or something somehow rather than mouse and keyboard. The PC exclusive games.
That's not going to happen. You can forget that now.
Well, I don't know. I hope Valve doesn't let this go. I hope you're wrong, Dave.
I hope I'm wrong too. Don't get me wrong. Like, my greatest dream is to have this magic controller that I can play Dota on my couch with. I would love to have that. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I think Steam machines will kill off consoles. Maybe
I also would not mind that in the slightest. If there was no such thing as a video game console anymore, and all we had was different size and shapes and types of PCs, and every game developer could just focus on that would be a really nice world that I would not mind living in. Then we could have our VR on PC for people like James. People could release Wiimote type bullshit on the PCs, and it could all be on this one magic platform.
Let's bear in mind that technically PS4 and Xbox are just PCs. They're just very limited PCs with shitty hardware.
Yes, basically. I mean, the PS4 and the Xbox One, I think it's pretty well established that they're already obsolete relative to gaming PCs.
They are already obsolete.
It's just a convenience factor that makes them...
Right, and that's what Steam Machine is promising. It's like, it'll be instant on, I assume. I haven't looked that much into Steam Machine. It'll be with a controller.
Well, as long as it has an SSD, anything is instant on.
And I don't see why you can't just dual boot into Windows or whatever if you need
You can. You just have to go out and buy a Windows license or get a Windows license.
But the problem is still the factor of if you get a PC game, you still have to tinker. Like, they need to get the developers on board with this like PC console dream as well, so that they can have integration for, it detects I'm on Steam Machine version C, therefore it sets all the graphics settings to give me 30 frames or 60 frames or whatever.
That's what I was going to say. That's what they need.
There's
like
so much more cooperation that needs to happen first.
Kind of like, that stupid Windows experience thing that they had in Windows 7? Something like that, but with a slightly broader scale. Because that would be like, you have a 7.3. It's something like you have an A, B, C, or D level Steam machine, and then all the games know how to tune themselves for an A, B, C, or D Steam machine. And it's just, you install the game, it scans, it says you have a B, and then you click approve, and then you launch the game and you play, and you don't have to think about it. But there's always still that price thing too, is that like people complain that the Xbox One was $500 and that was overpriced, but like an A level Steam machine is going to cost $1,700 or whatever. Like that is prohibitive to a lot of people.
Upgradable and last longer.
Right. I mean, definitely, but your average like not us, just random mom who's going to Walmart on Christmas to buy her son a present is not gonna be able to.
You could start off with a $300 shitty C-level machine, right? And then, as the kid gets more into it, he can buy an A-level graphics card.
True, he can, but where's the kid gonna get that money for that $1,200 graphics card?
He's gonna get a paper round.
I think though the upgradability like still creates even more market confusion. Like, the console still, yes, there are people who are hardcore video gamers who buy them and play on them, but they're also for a crowd that wants a one and done solution. That the moment you start letting the end user tinker with the hardware at that level, you end up with people wrecking their machines and lots of
hang on. Consoles have been upgradable in some respect for a very long time, right? I mean, remember the things you would slot on the top of a Mega Drive or whatever it was, or you put the X. I remember buying the graphics upgrade for N64.
That is way different than saying, like, you've bought your Steam machine, now now years down the road, do you want graphics card, A, B, or C? Or if you bought the B or higher Steam machine, you can do D now because that motherboard's good enough, but the A one is not good enough. But, like, you see, because the PC dream is the staggered incremental upgrade of hardware, that every time something gets better, if you're willing to throw the money at it, you can catch up. That's going to confuse, the console person end user, the masses, as it were. I'm sure. I'm not saying there's not.
Not if they can take it into Best Buy and say, "I got $200 to spend on this. What can you do to my Steam machine?"
I think you're giving them too much credit. I think that's a long way down the road. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone's saying that this is going to happen soon, or even necessarily that it is going to happen. More that I would like it to happen more than anything.
Okay.
I would just like there to be one platform where game developers can focus and not have to worry about, porting, and we got to spend, X amount of dollars and resources to port this game to this platform. We just make the game, platform. And then that's it.
You're going to have Windows, Xbox, PS4, and Steam Machine Linux.
Well, if we're just talking about what we want, I want Square Enix to remake Final Fantasy VII on next-gen hardware. But we all know that's not going to happen.
Well, that wasn't the actual prediction anyway. The actual prediction is, again, the controller thing is not going to happen, and they just kind of give up on it. So that's the prediction.
Well, speaking of failed hardware, I predict that Microsoft is going to show off their VR effort, and it's going to suck balls.
I can't argue or disagree. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you know what, I might as well just throw my next one in, because Sony's Morpheus was also announced, obviously, and I think that's going to be launched next year, and I think that's also going to suck because basically the PS4 is quite low powered and it simply won't be enough to give a good VR experience at a high enough resolution and frame rate. And I think that both of these are going to give a bad name to VR in general, kind of like the Nintendo 3DS did to 3D.
Hey, the 3DS is a fantastic piece of hardware.
The 3D of Nintendo 3DS is a piece of shit.
Well, I always turn that off, so I don't know.
Right.
And it taints your view of 3D, because you look at this like, oh, we've got an amazing glasses-free solution, and actually, it sucks.
Because it doesn't actually go out; it goes in the 3D basically on the 3DS. Instead of coming out at you, it goes into the screen like one of those old cards that came with your. With like your baseball cards, and then there was the hologram card in there. That's basically what the 3DS looks like to me.
Well, no, but that's what it's supposed to be. Though.
I know, but it's not. I don't think it's very good looking. But
yeah,
and those 3D TVs that were glassesless, they never happened because that sucked too, and because in general the 3D that has been presented to everyone has been really low quality.
You guys remember that sometime this year we're getting that new 3DS that is the higher grade chipset and the wider 3D viewing angle, so you don't have to spin it such a.
True, but it's still the same 3D goes in kind of look,
Same idea.
Yeah.
But that the viewing angle is supposed to be way that it uses the camera to recognize where your face is and adjust the 3D experience.
Which is smart. Definitely smart move.
And Oculus has said this too. They've said, look, Sony, if you're going to release something shit, please just don't release it at all, because you're going to taint the name of VR in general for everyone.
Well, that sounds like a good thing to me.
That's not something we want. But they said that officially. They said it on their Twitter account. They're going to be really pissed off if Sony releases something that's just not that good.
That would be funny.
It bothers me that they haven't learned their lesson from the whole motion control thing, right? The Wii came out with motion controls, and then Sony and Microsoft were like, oh crap, get on the motion controls bandwagon before we die, and then they just published these two floundering products that nobody really wanted.
Whoa. I don't want to hear a bad word about Kinect, actually. I think Kinect is some astonishing hardware.
It's so astonishing that they took it out of the Xbox One packet.
That is a completely separate matter. In terms of the hardware and the technology involved, it is about as good a motion control as you are possibly going to get, compared to the wrist waggling of the Wii, right? The fact that no one developed good games for it, and that Microsoft then decided to pull it, is an unrelated issue.
Right. And you're absolutely correct. Like the medical applications of the Kinect are astounding. Like I've seen it used for that stuff. Don't get me wrong, it's a great piece of hardware. It has been poorly executed in the gaming space as far as a motion control stand-in for the Wii mode.
Right.
Okay. I've yelled it out.
That's a different analogy, because in this case, their hardware is going to be crap. Microsoft and Sony are going to launch crap hardware, which gives it a crap name. In the motion controls case, Microsoft actually released good hardware, but shit games, which gave it a bad name.
Yeah.
Right? So that's my thoughts on this. Did you have another? You did. Why don't you do a prediction, Rob?
So Final Fantasy 15, the much anticipated Final Fantasy that, man, I don't know if any of you in the chat watched that cool trailer where they showed the trailer and then they showed the Final Fantasy Versus 13 logo, and then they shatter it and just turn it into Final Fantasy 15, and all of a sudden there was this like ray of hope shining down from the heavens for Final Fantasy fans, because we were abandoning the garbage license that was Final Fantasy 13. But Square Enix doesn't know how to get things done in a timely fashion anymore, and I suspect we will not see Final Fantasy 15 in 2015. As much as that would be great to like be, the year in the Final Fantasy, but it's just not going to happen, because how long has this been? Like, I still have not seen anything that looks like it's done more than a demo of a big open field running around with animals, and then some cutscenes. It's just. I cannot possibly believe that becomes a finished product this year.
I think that's probably correct. I can't imagine. I can't imagine a world where people are playing Final Fantasy 15 this year.
Now that said, it looks a lot like the Kingdom Hearts action. And if you haven't played a recent Kingdom Hearts game, Birth by Sleep or Forward from Birth, they've really figured out the Kingdom Hearts action RPG formula. The action feels good. The item collecting and move mixing feels good to create new attacks. If that's that combat team in the Final Fantasy world, I'm a pre-order, basically, because they've really figured that out, and I have high hopes for this game, but I have high hopes to play it next year.
Meh. I forgot this was a gaming podcast, actually. We're supposed to talk about games, aren't we? Dave, did you have a game to talk about?
Well, Final Fantasy 15 is a game. At some point.
I know. That's what brought this back to me. This is a gaming podcast, damn it, not hardware.
Well, technically, the hardware you were talking about is gaming hardware, so I guess it counts, sort of. It's kind of,
sort of, true.
Maybe. Yeah. So I got a quick one right here, is that I'm just going to throw it out there basically so I can be held accountable for it, is that the International this year for the Dota tournament will hit $15 million in the prize pool. Last year, it cracked 10, so I think it's going to jump another 5 to 15, keeping it firmly in the number one prize pool for
Stupid question,
esports.
Where's Dota 3? Is that not a thing?
No, there won't be a Dota 3 for a long time.
Why are people still playing the same game? That's really stupid.
Because that's how it's a sport.
It's not a game, it's a sport. James,
like people play soccer for hundreds of years. That's the idea behind games like Dota and League.
It takes place on the same field every time, James.
Yep, that's the idea. That's the pitch behind Dota and League of Legends. Is that it is
the pitch? You even made a sports pod.
There you go, the pitch. I didn't even think about that at first, because in America we don't call fields the pitch. We call them fields. Anyway, yeah. So I think it's gonna hit 15 mil. I'll just go to my next one real quick, because then we can get to one we can actually discuss, and that is I think Ubisoft is actually going to have a good year this year. I think they're going to get their shit together. I think the next Assassin's Creed game is going to be good, and I think that Ubisoft is going to have a year similar to last year with AC4 and stuff. So
this year's been a real cold bucket of water on them. So we've seen lots of companies in this industry react really well to a sour wake-up call, to be like, oh, snap, we can't just phone this in anymore.
Yeah, we can't just release whatever bullshit we want and people be like, well, it's Ubisoft, so it's fine. So I think they will come up and they will swing for the fences this year, maybe push some stuff back, maybe even not release an Assassin's Creed this year to get to next year, and just really make sure it's good. But I think they're gonna have a year this year that people are like, Ubisoft's not so bad.
You know what? I'm gonna give a sub prediction.
All right.
One of their releases this year will be Assassin's Creed Rogue Game of the Year HD. That they will basically take their last gen Assassin's Creed, do an HD version for the new consoles, and make that this year's Assassin's Creed to get it to a wider audience.
I mean, by all accounts, that game is substantially better than Unity. So
yeah,
that'd probably be smart. Just put all the DLC in it. If they had, they probably didn't even put DLC out for that Assassin's Creed.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't kept up with it.
I feel like why would they? Like, would that game sell like 6 copies?
Which is sad.
Ubisoft's family, basically, the people who worked on its family bought the game.
Well, but that's still going to be like 2,000 people because Ubisoft has 30 something studios across the world. But the thing about Rogue is the pitch is really rad. You're an assassin who turns Templar, and so you spend the game subverting all the tropes of the previous Assassin's Creed games. That you're setting fire to hay carts instead of diving into them to drive assassins out and things like that.
I love hay carts. I love dumping in them. It's fun.
Our long PS3 Xbox 360 generation fascination with the hay cart.
Hay carts are an important part of life, man. You know. James,
Rob,
move us along.
He's driving this forward. Hey, you guys remember that a whole bunch of people liked Shadow of Mordor this year?
Never
Expect a lot of that. They liked it last year, so expect more of that this year. Basically, Shadow of Mordor went out and it did one thing right. So I expect at least 4 copycat games by next Christmas. Everyone and their dog is going to be open world, Nemesis system. And it's going to be a sad, disappointing. It's going to be just, it's that disappointing thing where everybody's wearing the same thing to a party.
I'm fine with more people using that system. I like that system.
I like that system too. But I think, if 4 of that game release at the same time, I only have time and love in my life for one of them. I can't divide my attentions like that. So
I'd still stand by I want to see GTA with the Nemesis system. That's what I want. Give me that.
Absolutely.
So we're not against the whole Nemesis system being copied here in general, just clones of Shadow of Mordor.
And copy too much.
The idea that one thing is gone, so all this industry knows how to do is let's crank that out until people are throwing up at the sight of it.
Yeah. Which that's what the video game industry does.
I think if you find a good idea, then it deserves a couple of iterations.
From them, though, not from everybody stealing it.
No, I mean the burn cards in Titanfall being copied in Call of Duty. I like that. I think that's an awesome idea. I think it was a good idea at the start. I think that putting it into Call of Duty is a good idea. That's awesome. Do it. Do it again. Do it for every Call of Duty from now on.
You know what? You're not going to understand this, James, but I'm going to do this in a way that Dave will understand it. Dave,
yeah.
Remember about 18 months ago when everyone and their dog announced a MOBA?
Yeah.
Where have all of those gone?
Right? Well, some of them are still around. Smite is doing okay. EA just scrapped theirs completely. They just said, fuck this.
But there's just not room for everyone to be doing the exact same thing and still get a reasonable share of the pie.
Yeah, it happened with MMOs too, with WoW. When WoW really hit it big, everybody was like, let's get our WoW out there. And then they all went free to play and then eventually shut down because they failed.
This is true.
That's the rough shot of being a
But with the Nemesis system, it's at least is something that can be. It's a genre that's already well established. Open world games are clearly not going to go anywhere. People have been making those forever, and they're going to keep making them. So at least there, you're just adapting a system into an already existing genre. They're not just wholesale jacking a genre that there's no room for. So
I would like to see the depth of character information that you got from Watch Dogs being transferred into a game like GTA.
With a Nemesis system on top of it.
A Nemesis system on top, obviously.
So it's basically open world the game. Just adapt everything from all the open world games into one super open world game.
Well, we'll call it the next GTA. I guess that's not anytime soon.
We'll call it open_world. Just like it starts.
Yeah, I would like to see the trend of more games using random punctuation marks in their titles. Open ! World _ tilde. Just thrown in. That's the title of my next game. We'll make
the game will be called #OpenWorld.
Well, that's already coming. #IDARB. Remember, we talked about that in my most anticipated games.
That's right. That's right.
All right, let's move on. You got one more, Rob? Yes, you have.
I
What's
do.
your final prediction?
So if y'all have those consoles that everyone likes so much, you probably had a hard time getting on them this Christmas with the Lizard Squad attack on the Xbox Live and PlayStation Network server. Lizard Squad has said that they are going silent because Kim.com came out and was like, hey, mega upload vouchers, knock it off so I can play Destiny. But I think this is going to trigger a wave of copycat attacks because people have learned that if you inconvenience everyone for long enough, a rich dude will give you stuff. And
wait, hang on. This is actually kind of a given because Lizard Squad were apparently just testing their DDoS service, which you can now rent for about $500, which will give you 20 days or 6 days or something of DDoS attacks. So this will undoubtedly be copied, although whether it will be targeting Xbox Live and things is
I just wish they would target something more useful, like something to really actually to target a government website or something, like something that's actually gonna that you're actually making a stance against something, not like I just want to mess with people's fun.
Yeah, I don't know. The reason I'm predicting copycat stuff is just because, even though Lizard Squad and whatever leadership and order there is to Lizard Squad said, hey, we got what we wanted. We're going to stop attacking PSN and Xbox Live forever. I think the wording literally was forever. That doesn't stop, the next kids who want some balls and, maybe splinters off of Lizard Squad and say, well, I didn't sign on for that. It just turns
into their network.
Right. I think the age of DDoS extortion is upon us, and that security now more than ever is of the essence for large companies running online networks and dependent on those networks to satisfy their customers. Also, I want to recognize in the chat, Scudderman said the name of the next huge open world game by Ubisoft will be Waypoint_Tower, which I think is kind of hilarious.
They do like towers, even in games when it doesn't make sense, like a driving game. They still manage to squeeze in some towers.
They have
awesome.
The Ubisoft open world formula.
They did that. That was one of the giant bomb this year. Their Please Stop award went to
standardized soft open world formula.
Yeah.
Right. Well, those are our predictions. If you have any, you should probably post them in the chat room now, and we'll get to them in a moment. Otherwise, looks like we got some news.
We got some nudes.
Nudes. Yes.
I got some nudes. That's in violation of Twitch TOS, but I can do it if you want.
Oh shit! Is it? All right. Well, hang on. Let me put the pants back on. Go ahead.
Rob, I think you added this first story, right?
PlayStation Now is no longer an absolute waste of your time and money. PlayStation Now has gone from being pay to rent individual games for a period of time anywhere from 3 days to 90 days to now having an all-access Netflix-style thing where you pay either $20 a month or $45 for 3 months.
So $15 a month if you do it that way.
Yeah, effectively. And basically, it's all you can eat from their streaming games library. Apparently, if as long as you're in a place with pretty good internet access, the latency is low enough that people are finding that enjoyable. So the streaming video games of Netflix Stream is kinda here. I think 100+ games that they advertise is not a big enough library to necessarily make the $45 for 3 months worthwhile. You might find some gems in there. You might not want to make that.
If you never owned a PS3,
yeah,
and you just get into gaming now and got a PS4, then I could see wow, this is obscene amounts of games. But
of course you can't get it in England yet.
Yeah, then it's US only, North America only.
Is this not a part of PlayStation Plus then? I just
no, it's completely separate. You don't even get a discount for having a PS Plus subscription. It is 100% a separate deal. Because this is also coming to they're doing
$20 a month.
Because they're doing that thing where they're going to put PlayStation Now in smart TVs and stuff. So this will be
presumably you also have to pay for.
Well, the same subscription, but yeah, if you had a smart TV, you could play it. But I can't. There's no way in a million years that I would pay for this. Right,
and it's not for me or you or the people who are already buying a bunch of their own games. But I think it's really great to have out there, as far as just an all-you-can-eat gaming solution. I don't feel like PlayStation Plus has done wrong by me as far as my value for the amount of money I'm paying. So I'm okay with it not being rolled into PlayStation Plus. I think it wouldn't hurt if they did like, hey, we're packing them together. Here's a slight discount if you pay for a year of both. That would be pretty rad. But
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good out there. I think the plan of putting it in TVs is good if they pack in a little controller with that TV. But yeah, I think this is a promising thing as far as the future of games and having ways for people to. I paid one fee. I can try out a bunch of different games, and I can then not have to play the crappy ones without the process of buying or returning or whatnot.
Well, you better hope no one hacks your account then, otherwise they'll be locking you out of your games for 6 months at least.
James is still holding this grudge.
Well,
I am still holding this grudge,
and rightly so. I mean, you got screwed over. I haven't had a bad experience with Sony in my life, so.
Yeah, you just wait till the day it happens.
I too
will be screaming at them on the phone like I was too.
I have not had a bad experience with Sony yet either, so I can't hate them. But I think the price is a little high. I think maybe 15 and then 10 if you do the quarterly thing would have been a better deal. But they got to make their money, I guess. So
okay, let me throw some math at you. A DVD costs roughly $20, and Netflix is $8.
Dude, they don't sell DVDs anymore. What the hell are you talking about?
But I'm giving that's the comparison to the purchase of a video game in the store, right?
A video game costs $60. Go with that.
Right, and so
that's where he's going.
Yeah, that's the cost ratio. That the cost ratio is actually more generous for it. It's $20 DVD versus $60 video game, and $8 movie subscription versus $20 a month video gaming subscription.
Well, though none of these video games are $60 though.
Plus, Netflix has a ridiculously large selection compared to what.
Also, that too. Yeah, if you break down what you pay per game versus what you pay per
if Netflix
potential
only
movie
had
on
100
Netflix.
TV episodes, I would be pretty pissed.
That's true. That's true. It's not an apples to apples comparison yet, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's going live, and it'll be interesting to see whether that works in this market.
They need a bigger
faux shizzle. We'll see. I mean, it doesn't hurt anybody, so right? Its existence doesn't hurt anybody, so it's there, and if people want it, then
I feel like no one should be playing games this much that they need to rent and on demand.
If you have nothing to do, why not? I imagine most of the people who are playing this are not finishing all these games. They're bouncing from game to game to game to game.
Yeah, that sucks.
Imagine if you're some kid on a budget. If you get off for summer vacation in like June or something, and you get that 3 months, and it's like all you can eat games from this like selection of over 100, that'd be a pretty rad way to spend the summer as far as video gaming is concerned.
No, it wouldn't. What the hell? What are we trying to encourage here? Get the fuck outside.
No, fuck that. Stay inside and play games. Outside is dumb.
Insane? Fine. By all means, have one exciting game at some point in summer, but don't get yourself an access-all area thing to. No.
If I could have had that when I was a kid, I would have done that. Fuck going outside. Outside sucks.
Everybody needs a crazy binge once in a while.
Oh, this is terrible.
I avoided the outside like the plague when I was a child.
Yeah, we can see you pasty white bloody.
And that if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have a job being in charge of all of a website's video game content. So.
No, you might be the web developer instead.
I'd much rather do what I'm doing. Fuck being a web developer.
Going outside was not going to help Dave become a web developer.
Yeah, also, how would going outside help me with that?
I've done some studying instead of playing video games.
Nope, terrible. James, you sound like shit right now, too.
I am. I feel like shit.
No. Your technology sounds like shit.
Oh, my technology sounds like shit.
Yes. You sound like you're on the other side of... You sound like you're talking to me through, like, the ocean. Which, like, you technically are, but...
Alright, how's that?
Nope, no better, but we'll work with it. Anyway,
There was no more news.
So we got some more VR news, James.
Yeah, this looks like a non-story to me, actually. I just had a look.
That's why I put it on here, because I don't know if this is anything that's anything. I mean, Razer is Razer, so if I assume...
Razer, the gaming peripheral company, wants to make an open source virtual reality thing. I mean, whatever.
They want it to be like the Android of VR.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen. So you know.
You don't think Razer is pretty legit though?
Yeah, but this isn't their expertise, and they're not going to pull together an open source VR thing.
Maybe there's probably not
You
enough
need
money
to have
in
money in something to make it good. I mean, come on, let's just look at Linux and what kind of a big failure that is.
it. Linux is not a failure, is it? I don't know.
Are you kidding me? Of course Linux is a failure.
I mean, people use it.
Yeah, on servers.
I mean, like Justin, doesn't he use that as like his OS of choice or something?
Justin kind of doesn't count. He goes for the free things, doesn't he? And no, he
Well, that's
uses a
true.
Mac anyway.
Justin is weird, but
Yeah.
we should have Justin on as a guest. See how
Yeah,
he's
he can
doing.
tell us about all the rad NES games he's played.
Yeah,
Hey,
we should
go study outside, says Sabrine.
go study. Yeah, that sounds terrible. Any type of studying. What? So we're using Skype. Caslin143 asks, "What are we using for video conferencing?" We're using Skype and XSplit to actually
Skype and Excellent. Okay.
to broadcast. Skype for seeing and hearing you guys. XSplit for you all seeing and hearing us. So next news story, James. What is this?
But this ain't mine.
I know I put it on here. I just wanted to see if you were paying attention.
I'm paying attention, but you do your news. I'll let you have that. Go for it.
So the long-term study finds no link between violent video games and violence in youths. So
This isn't news. This was the same. I heard the same thing last year. In fact, every year for the
every
past 10
week,
years.
you mean? But this one is funny because it specifically said that they don't even understand how studies that came to the conclusion that there is a link, how they even possibly could have came to that result. So not only did they claim there's no link, but they're like bashing on studies that found that there was a link. So I just threw that on there because I always like to see the stories that I see. Screw the people who say that, you know, they try to blame media for their kids being bad kids. Your kid just is a shitty kid. I'm sorry, that sucks, but that's
Basically, your kid's a shitty kid because you're a shitty parent and
Yeah.
you're a shitty person.
Right.
I mean, no one wants to tell you that, but it's the truth.
If your kid goes out and does something stupid, it's not because he played GTA. It's
It's
because
because
he's a
you're
bad
gay.
kid who was raised by bad parents.
Well, and I think a lot of this link comes around because the giving younger children M-rated video. And again, for any of you out there listening, I'm not saying that if you give your young child an M-rated video game, you are necessarily 100% a bad parent. But that, in a lot of cases, you know, the young kids who are being given whatever video games they want to play, regardless of level of maturity of the game, like being able to watch whatever movies they watch, like that is evidence of other issues going on. That there's those issues, there's other bad parenting issues, all coming together to, you know, kind of.
I take
make
issue
this
with
kid
that.
more
I mean, I had like full internet access from when I was like 10, which meant of
And
course,
look at
I
how
had all the
James
porn.
turned out.
And you know, look at I'm certainly not some perverted. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
I mean,
think you got
I
a
don't
point there.
think that the playing of the violent video games by a kid is going to turn them into a serial killer, but I also don't think that a 10-year-old should be playing Call of Duty, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
But
we talked about this before. Scullerman's talking about a study that said violent crimes decrease right after the release of a violent video game, and it was suspected because the violent people were sitting down and playing the violent video game, right?
Right. And no, I'm saying exactly what you said, James,
Yeah.
which is, you know, these things are not making the kids this way. It's that often the parents who are just, you know, very much, do whatever you want, kid. Like, the fact that these kids are getting their hands on this media is evidence of the parents having a less of a bearing on this child's behavior.
Agrees.
Right. I mean, I think I was destined to be a pervert from when I was born. And the fact that I had porn at 10 probably didn't contribute to that. It was something I sought out when I was 10.
It nurtured your desire to be a pervert.
Oh, goodness.
Something like that.
Oh, James, you must make your family so proud of you every day. You must just wake up in
I
the
do,
morning
I
and they're
do.
just like, man, I am so glad that James is our son. He is an amazing human being. So yeah, bad news for people who want to pass blame to games, and good news for people who agree that people who pass blame on games are stupid. So the next is that like half of IGN's staff quit the other day. Like all of their important people just bounced. Like out of the blue to go start their own thing called Kinda Funny, which is
Just do an internet comedy startup.
but a video
So,
game
why?
internet thing. So it's all on Twitch. I piggybacked their broadcast with a rebroadcast the other day and gained like 6 followers. So thank you. Kind of funny. I appreciate that. So they're making it's Colin Moriarty, Greg Miller, who's like the most famous IGNer left, I think. Tim Geddes and Nick Scarpino, who I believe Nick is actually from Red 3. I want to say.
And the other the first guy you said.
Colin.
No, the other famous one.
Greg Miller.
Greg Miller. Yeah, Greg Miller's a Missouri native. He's from the same state I am.
Greg Miller used to be one of my. I mean, I haven't paid attention to the IGN stuff a lot lately. I used to listen to like Game Scoop and 3 Red Lights when they did their Xbox podcast and stuff. And Greg Miller was always one of the funniest people on IGN. So I will probably follow this kind of funny stuff. And I'm not gonna Patreon because I'm cheap and whatever. But I'm gonna probably watch some of their stuff because I like Greg Miller and I think he's funny.
I think this is a really fascinating way to fund things like this, though.
Look at they got $15,000 a month, but that's
you can see how. I mean, there's a lot of money in here.
But that's divided by 4.
Is it 15 grand? It looked like
14,685.81 is the total right now.
15,000 per month. I mean, that's actually quite a lot.
Quick, math that out. What do they each get?
3.7 something.
That's not bad. Probably less than they were making at IGN.
All, really.
But
I mean, that's a reasonable job right there. And
that's not including any ad revenue that they generate and stuff like that on top of the actual Patreon. But what I've always heard from these Patreon things is that people will fund it for like the first couple months when it's hyped, but it's sustaining it. They fall off,
I mean, presumably you bring in new people, though. It's not like...
Although Jim Position is still going, I just double checked his. He's going strong at $9,974 a month.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Should we give up our day jobs? No, probably not.
We can. I put it. If you look at our channel, I put a donation button on the bottom of the screen.
In the defense of all these Patreon people, this is not free money. These people work really hard on their content.
Oh, no one's saying it's free money.
Oh, no doubt.
And that's the other thing too we're not factoring in is that their jobs at IGN, they didn't have any costs with those jobs, as Scudderman points out in the chat. That $14,000 is also going to pay at IGN. They just showed up and stood in front of IGN's cameras with IGN's microphones and IGN servers and talked. They got to pay for all that shit themselves with this $14,000 now. So it's not that $14,000 is not just going into their pockets as their monthly salary. I'm sure if this thing is going to be big, which if there's that many people are funding it, it is going to be pretty big. They're going to need some serious hosting, especially if it's a video-based stuff.
They had those as stretch goals. Like, if you get $1,000 per month, we'll buy a fancy camera. 2,500. Oh, there'll be a month of Oreo cookies. What? No, Oreo oration episodes. Sorry, that's an episode, right? I thought they were literally buying cookies.
I mean, I think I'm gonna watch this stuff though because Greg Miller is very funny. Personally, I would have preferred that he went to Giant Bomb or something, but
I don't know who these people are. I'm not gonna pretend I do. Whatever.
Speaking of Giant Bomb, one thing I didn't put on the outline that I would just like to mention is that Patrick left Giant Bomb.
He went to Kotaku.
Patrick Klepek works for Kotaku, which personally does not make me happy.
There's that camp, and then there's the camp that says Patrick Klepek will raise the quality of the site.
That's what I tweeted to Patrick when he announced it, and I was like, well, I was like, that's kind of disappointing, but I hope you make Kotaku less shitty.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. People say things about Kotaku's journalism. I find their articles interesting, so I click them and read them. That's the bottom line. If I'm entertained, they're going to get my click.
Yeah, no, I find them to be kind of funny in a lot of cases, but I do not. Yeah. Patrick is like a serious investigative journalist. He's like the only serious investigative journalist we have in the world of video games, and now he's going to work for a press release farm. I don't like it. But at the same time, Giant Bomb is more of a personality, comedy-based site, and Patrick really didn't fit in very well there, especially he wasn't in the studio with anybody. He was in his house, so...
Has anyone ever bothered listening to us? I mean, out of us. I have. When you two were doing it last week. I listened to you.
Did you enjoy my clicking? Because I was using the wrong mic last week.
Yeah, that was kind of annoying, but actually it was kind of entertaining.
I agree that we are entertaining. I wouldn't do this if I didn't think we were entertaining. If I thought we were boring and shitty, I would just stop making the show.
You were kind of surprised by that. That vote of confidence is
obviously in James's mind, in James's mind, he's the reason we're entertaining. So he assumed without him that there was no chance of it being good. I thought, I mean, I see us a lot when I turn on the rebroadcast, but I don't hear us because there's no sound.
James gave us a listen, and he laughed so hard that his virtual Oculus girlfriend asked him what was wrong.
Are you not entertained? Someone just said that in the chat, so I'd go Gladiator. This is Technophilia! What was the last story? I don't even remember.
That's one that I threw on there, and that's more of an end note more than anything. In the event that you only listen to us on the podcast and you've never even heard of Twitch TV, swing by twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick. Games Done Quick is a Twitch channel that does 2 fundraisers a year to fight cancer, and they have awesome games done quick in the winter and summer games done quick in the summer, and it's basically a week of some of the most impressive speed running. Tool-assisted speedrunning and like hacking that you've ever seen. They hacked a copy of Pokemon Red to display Twitch chat. They hacked a copy of Super Mario World to play Super Mario Brothers. They've done really impressive speedruns, and all the money goes to a really great cause, the screening and prevention of cancer. So swing on over, even if you just watch it. It's very entertaining, and if you donate to stop cancer that much, the better.
And the weirdest thing about that is what I've enjoyed. I have not watched much of it. I bounced in and out a couple times. But the thing that I find most entertaining is seeing whatever bullshit random game that they're playing suddenly become the top watched game on Twitch.
Right.
Right now, Commander Keen 4, Secrets of the Oracle, is the second highest viewed game on Twitch behind League of Legends. Like, when would you ever see Commander Keen 4 as the most watched game on Twitch? It just doesn't make sense, but it's awesome.
That's awesome. You were so down on Commander Keen when
I'm not saying it's like a bad game or anything. It's just not a game that you would expect to see at the top of Twitch. It's just like, it doesn't make sense.
I didn't even know it went up to number 4. I'm going to have to go look on that.
Hey, speaking of, and then back to the old story, currently I was just looking at the gaming talk shows segment on Twitch, and Colin and Greg from Kinda Funny Games are live right now. So as we wrap up, you could move over there and check out them talking about games, probably in a slightly funnier way than we talk about games, because they're professionals.
That seems unlikely.
Yeah, you can do that, or you can fight cancer. It's your choice.
Yeah, either way, whatever. That's the beauty of Twitch. There's options. I mean, there's also a big Dota tournament going on right now. You could watch that, which is that's what I'm gonna do. So, sorry, cancer. I would love to help fight you, but I want to watch Dota, so I'm gonna watch Dota.
One hope for one cancer. Wait, what? One follow for one hope. There you go.
There you go. Also, at 200 followers, we're going to give away a video game to a random follower. I haven't yet decided the best way to choose a random follower. So make sure to follow on Twitch so you can win a video game from the Steams.
You're talking like a $3.99 video game.
That's a game I already have a code for, so... But it's going to give it away to somebody.
I think giving away something like a PS Vita might be more fun.
Well, where are we going to get the budget for that?
I don't know. Can't we get some companies to send us some random shit? I'm sure we can.
I mean, I got a donation button on there, bros. If anybody wants to donate towards us buying shit to give away, feel free.
We should get that pants company to send us some more pants.
I do like the underwear that they sent us.
Yeah,
MeUndies.
Give those away.
Here's my idea. All right, you see this formula we have here with these 3 cameras, right? We have this triangle. We've got 2 wonderful spaces for brand logos that we could just squeeze in there. So if you want to have your brand logo displayed during 90 minutes of nonsense, you know who to talk to.
And think about all the rebroadcasts that it'll be seen on.
Also, 90 minutes of nonsense would be a great name for a podcast.
Can we change our name?
Can we just be 90 minutes of nonsense?
I've often thought that changing our name would be a good choice because
nope, we've got the domain for another year.
But we've got the domain, and I've already built up. I would have to start over building up Twitch followers again with
would
another
basically be
channel.
the
So
stupidest thing we've ever done.
We're
Almost
stuck.
as stupid as being bought by Make Use of. And with that, our tale will end for this week. But to find some more of our adventures, if you're watching on Twitch, I think there's a follow button somewhere, right? Is that what you do on the Twitch?
heart.
Is it a follow?
yep, follow because we're
Subscribe.
not partnered, so you can't subscribe yet. But that's. Oh, by the way, my New Year's resolution this year is to make this channel partnered with Twitch by the end of the year. So
What do we need to make that happen, Dave?
you need to average like in the 500-ish viewers per broadcast.
Not going to happen.
Hey, I have a full year to make this happen, son. Don't worry. We have time.
For the podcast, just subscribe in iTunes to technophilia.podcast.com/feed or in any other podcatcher to technophiliapodcast.com/feed/mp3 or even /feed/video if you want to see the video version. Or we're available on YouTube too at youtube.com/ I think you guessed it, it's Technophilia Podcast. Or we do the twits at the Technophilia. Dave is at Sidox, and Rob spent a long time coming up with his handle. He is at Robert Weezan.
Yep, WIESEHAN.
And I'm not going to tell you mine because mine's shit. I might as well just
James is this shit. Also, everybody, I want you all to tell James that you want him to start streaming some games on here. It's time, James.
His name rhymes with games.
Yes, I can't do it all myself, James. I'm working on Rob. He's gonna eventually start doing like one stream a week here, and now we need you on here, and then we can actually have a set schedule of one night a week that each of us will stream, and people will know Tuesdays is the podcast, Wednesdays is James Day, Thursdays is Rob Day, and whatever day is Dave Day, and people will know to come.
That's a good idea. I'll have a go next week, but I can't do it this week because I'm going to Scutterman's hometown of Cornwall.
Whoa, are you gonna go visit Scudderman?
I'm not going to visit Scudderman. I'm going to be mad busy visiting houses.
Wait, so are you gonna move to the same town as Scudderman?
What? Both of you speaking at the same time. What?
Go, Rob.
I said you should have a pint together. That's what you do over there, right? You have a pint.
We will one day. Maybe when I've moved.
So are you going to move to the same town as Scudderman?
Well, no. Cornwall's quite a large place. I might be. It might be Devon as well. It might be somewhere. It's either way. It's in the southwest, the other side of the country.
I forgot to record locally again. Fuck. This is like 4 weeks in a row I've forgotten to record locally, so now I have to export this to YouTube and then download it from YouTube, which means I can't start the rebroadcast right away, so I'm going to miss out on the time that Greg and his homies are on there streaming, and God, the whole thing is just... Oh, no, wait, I know what I can do. I can screen capture the Twitch video.
Did you have any final words, Rob?
I'm so done with you.
Right. I'm done with me too. Screw this shit.
No, both of you. Don't worry, it's not personal.
Take us off.
Oh, right, I have to click the button, don't I?
Yes.
I could just leave us on for a while, and we could just sit here and stare. Let's just sit here and look at the cameras for a minute.